So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about currency conversions. You know that different currencies are worth different amounts, right? So US dollar is not the same as a New Zealand dollar, right? The pound is not the same as the euro. And we're going to learn how to do some conversions using a very simple formula. And it is incredibly simple. All you have to do is either multiply or divide. Now, your job, though, is to determine when you need to do each one, when you need to multiply and when you need to divide. But that's easy as well, because when you have a currency conversion, you're always going to be given a formula. Okay? And what you're going to be looking for is you want to find the one. That's the key. It'll say 1 US dollar is equal to, or 1 New Zealand dollar is equal to, or 1 pound is equal to. That's the key thing you need to look for, is find the one, right? Because that's going to tell you whether you're going to multiply or divide. Okay? Right? So, if you look in your books, I know we don't use these very often, but if you look in your books, this is on page 57. Okay? Clearly, when we're doing it, which unit you think is going to be the one? Where do you live? New Zealand. There you go. So New Zealand dollars are usually going to be the ones. Now, but that doesn't always have to be the case, right? So you're going to have some in your homework where they're doing it a different way because they're traveling, bringing back money, etc. But if you look, for example, they give you New Zealand $1, 1 New Zealand dollar is equal to, what does the funny E stand for? Look for euros. There you go. 0.65. So that means that each New Zealand dollar is worth 65 cents as a euro, right? And that this book was clearly printed a while, because now that's not true anymore. It's about 50 cents, and the U.S. dollar is about 65 cents. So anyway, doesn't matter. Just makes old people sad. But which one is the one? The New Zealand dollar, right? And that's the key. What if I had put, though, that each euro is equal to 1.65 NZ? Then which one is the one? Right? The euro. Okay? So you've got to pay attention to which one you're converting, that you're given the formula for. But in all of these, they give you New Zealand dollar. So you never have to worry about it. It's always the New Zealand dollar. But is that always going to be the case when you're doing conversions? No. So make sure you understand that. There are two processes. And it depends on if you're converting to the unit that's the one, or you're converting from the unit that's the one. So whatever unit that you have the one for, okay? So to convert, and I'm going to write this funny, from the one, okay? So in other words, New Zealand dollars to euros, for example, all you're going to do is multiply by the rate. So to convert from, it's multiply. Okay? To convert to the one, what do you think?
Divide.
You betcha. Divide by the rate. Lesson's over. Let's do some examples. Okay. So, to convert from the 1, you're going to multiply. To convert to the 1, divide. Okay? Okay, so let's just look at a few examples of this so that you can see what's going on. We ready? Everybody get that written down? So I'm going to change the page. Yeah? Okay? All right, well, here we go. So, it says that New Zealand 1 is equal to US 0.74. So that gives us a rate. Which unit is the 1? New Zealand. Okay? And so it says, Michelle takes $3,000 spending money with her to the United States. How much US dollars is that worth? So 3,000 New Zealand to US is what we want. Do you agree that that's what it's saying? Okay. So that means we're converting you in New Zealand, which is our 1, to US, which is the decimal rate. So we simply take our 3,000 New Zealand dollars times 0.74. And somebody want to do the math for me? Gives us US 2220. Yeah, all we did was multiply those two things together. Two things, though. Look at how I've written that. US dollars has the dollar symbol and US. If you convert currency, you must tell me what currency you are now in, right?
US or USD?
It's just US. That's plenty. Typically, currency exchanges use two letters. So they abbreviate with 2 letters. Okay? And the dollar symbol takes care of the D part. Okay? Super hard?
Yep.
Super excited? Okay. All right.
Wait, hold up, mate.
I'm just going to do another one right under it anyway. So we have euros at 65 cents for each New Zealand $1. So which one's the 1? New Zealand. Okay? So this is, she has 8,500 euros, and she wants to convert that into New Zealand dollars. Okay? So the 1 is New Zealand dollars, but I'm converting from euros to New Zealand dollars. So what does that mean I need to do? Exactly. So I'll take the 8,500 divided by the rate, which gives me New Zealand, what is that? 13076.92. I'm just reading this straight from the book. Okay. So all you need to do is divide. Make sense? Now, make sure you put your units, and also remember we talked about rounding? Dollars, money always must be rounded to exactly what? 2 decimal places, right. And we are pretending it's a card, not cash. If it was cash, we would always round to what? Nearest 0 at the end, the nearest 10 cents. But we're talking about the actual dollar amount, so we'll use the pennies, the cents, whatever you all would call them. I don't know. Since y'all don't have them, you don't call them anything, do you? Okay? So the cents. So make sure that when you round to the nearest cent, not zeros. Okay? How exciting. All right. So let's look at the one. So, convert New Zealand, $2,500 to US dollars. And just use the same conversion factor that we just did. New Zealand, $1 equals US 0.74. Go. New Zealand dollars to US dollars. Sorry, it's a little rough, but it's number 2 on page 57 in your book if you want to read it. The US dollar is 0.74. Okay? We good? All right, then. So, which one is my 1 in my formula? New Zealand dollars. And that's what I have, right? So I have the 1 as my big amount, which means that I'm going to use which operation? Multiply or divide? Multiply. So I simply take the 2,500 times the 0.74, which is going to give me 1,850. Oops, and I didn't leave enough room. Why? Yep, I need US 1,000 what? 850, thank you. So, 1,850 US dollars. Okay. And if I were going the other way around, simply divide instead of multiply. Okay. So, your cheat sheet should look something like that, where you're writing out what processes to use. And you want to write much smaller but neatly, and you want to make sure that you're titling what it is you're doing as you go, because you want to make so that you can scan down the side and find the right formula, right? So you might want to, when you're building these, do what I did. Convert and then put the information off to the side. So then you can scan down. Percent increase, scan down, find percent increase, and right next to it is where you have your stuff, your information. Yeah? Okay. Keep it neat. Don't just try to cram everything you have on there. If you know you need an example, put an example. But if you don't think you're going to need an example, you're going to need an example for this probably? Probably not. Then don't put examples. They take up too much room. Okay? Now, I do, however, want to talk to you a little bit about this conversion. All right? So, do you think it's better if the conversion rate is higher or lower? If it's higher, that means it's closer to the New Zealand dollar, doesn't it? So that means that you lose less money, don't you?
You mean if I was someone who had
Okay. Well, we have to assume that part. So, okay. So would you, for example, all right, does the conversion rate change all the time? Yes. Okay. Do we like it when the New Zealand dollar is worth more or worth less? Worth more, right? So let's say that you were going to put some money in savings in the United States, just for kicks. Then, would you or could you pick a time when that might be more advantageous than another time? Yes. All right. Now, are you going to know when the conversion rate's going to be high and when it's going to be low? No, but you can wait until it reaches a certain point and then put the money in, right? I am not sending any money to the States unless it's worth at least 75 cents per New Zealand dollar, right? Is that a possibility? You bet. You could do that. Okay. Now, might you have to wait 3 years? Yep. But if you decide that you want a certain exchange rate, then you can just keep your money in New Zealand until it's time and then move it when it's time, right? So if you want to get more money for your money, then just wait till the exchange rate goes up. But again, you're not going to know that.
Wait, so is it better to have it lower? Or?
The closer they get together, the better it is. Right? So
Wait, why is
we
that?
would prefer that 1 New Zealand dollar equals 2 US dollars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because then we double our money. Not going to happen. But, right? So the higher the number is versus the 1, the better off you are. Okay? So right now, is it better to have euros or New Zealand dollars? Euros are worth more, aren't they? Okay? When you bring them back, remember, we saw what happened just a minute ago where she had 8,000 euros and it came back as 13,000 New Zealand dollars, right? So you see that the higher exchange rate, the exchange rate is, the better. Okay? So logically, that means that you always want to have the highest rate possible, right? And if you have a higher rate, then you're going to have more money than when you. Yes?
Why do the exchange rates like always change?
It always changed due to economic